Today on Raw Customs, how to be a Rocketeer.
Guys, welcome to Raw Customs. I'm your host, Patrick Rapolo, and on this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make a Rocketeer helmet. Now, as far as builds go, this is one of the simpler ones I've made so far, so if you've been considering getting into prop building or you just want a simple one to work on, this would be a good option for you. Now, as far as materials go, you're going to need a couple of sheets of 5mm foam, which I use on the majority of my projects. For the main body of it, I actually went down to Pet Boys Auto Parts and I picked up this big roll of foam. It's around $20. For the lenses, I actually used this Rubbermaid tub that I picked up at Walmart. It's around $10. It's transparent, so it's a good option for your lenses. Now the rivets themselves, I just used some googly eyes I picked up. And that's a good option to make the rivets with. As far as putting it together, I used the contact cement on this, but you could always use the hot glue gun. Well, alright guys, let's see how to do it. For this build you're going to need a 1/4 inch roll of foam, 2 sheets of 5mm foam, some googly eyes, some contact cement, painter's caulk, some plasti dip, spray paint, a heat gun, and a razor knife. Start by heating up your foam to flatten it out. Then your pattern can be laid in place, traced on your foam, and then cut out. Lay out the top pattern of your back piece and trace it onto your foam. Then line up the bottom piece of the back template to make one big template. Now it can be cut out as one large piece. Fold your template in half. This will allow you to lay it in place and mark your center point. Trace your overlay pieces onto some 5mm foam, and then they can be cut out. Use 5mm foam to trace and cut out your rudder as well. Use a heat gun to heat your foam. This will allow you to bend and curve your piece. I recommend doing this a section at a time. Once it's molded, it can be glued together. Start with your 2 center strips. Apply glue to both of the inside edges. Starting from the front, line your edges up and press them together. Work your way all the way to the back. Next, apply your glue for the outside edge. Then line up your pieces at the top of the eye socket and glue into place. Now the 2 ends at the back can be glued together. Next, heat and curve your back section. Apply your glue to the edges of both pieces. Glue your two pieces together, starting at the center point in the back and then working your way around to the front. Next, apply your glue for your overlay. Once your glue is set, your piece can be laid on and pressed into place. Now it's time for your rudder. Glue it in place starting at the back of the helmet and working your way around to the front. For your vents, take your sheet of 5mm foam and lay it over the top of the hole in the helmet. Mark your sheet, making sure it's larger than the hole. Then cut the extra off. Next, bow your foam on top of the helmet to get your curve, and then mark it. Use something round to trace a curve at the back end. Then make a straight edge from your mark to the curve you just made. Once this piece is cut out, it can be used to trace and cut out the piece for the other side. Using a heat gun, heat your piece up and then roll it over, and then bend it to fit the contour of the helmet. Once your piece is molded, it can be glued into place to cover your vent hole. Next, take your googly eyes. These can be placed and glued around the eye sockets. Now it's time to make some weld lines using some painter's caulk. Start by holding the tube at an angle and then squeezing a little out. Pull back slightly and then squeeze again, and then just continue the process. Once the caulk is dried, you can apply 2 coats of plastic dip. Follow that up with 2 coats of gold paint. On my helmet I used an airbrush to add a little detail and tone down the gold a little bit to give it more of a bronze look. Use a piece of paper to trace out your eye socket. Then cut that piece out. For the lenses, I'm using a clear Rubbermaid tub. Lay the piece you cut out onto your plastic and trace around it. Make it a little larger than the piece itself. Then the lens can be cut out. Use a heat gun to heat the lens and then slightly curve it. Once they've cooled, they'll hold their shape. The lenses can be glued into place from the back side. There you go, guys. A pretty simple helmet build. Got a couple of tips for you. Number one, on scaling. When I scaled these, I actually scaled from the actual center point of the face piece to the outside edge right here of the eye. Now for a kid size, I go about 3 inches. For a little bit larger kid, or not, just a little bit bigger kid, I'll go ahead and go about 3 1/4 inch. And for an adult, 3 3/4 inches. Now this one's actually 3 3/4 inches, and this one here is 3 inches, so you can see the difference in scale is pretty good size. Now as far as the helmet build itself, if you want, the entire thing can be made out of 5mm foam. This one here actually was. The only real difference is that you'll have to cut 2 pieces of the face piece and glue them together, and so it'll be glued together right here, and the rest of the build will go together the same. Now if you do use the big roll itself, I recommend, as far as on the back side of the eyes, if you got texture on yours, go ahead and sand that off around the eyes so that your lenses will sit flush in there and you won't have a gap. Alright guys, that's it for this build. I do appreciate all the comments. Keep them coming in. They inspire me to get out here and keep building these things for you. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next build.